Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech, and in this video, I'll be unboxing and doing a quick hands-on review of the Vivo Y73. So here's the box. Vivo has launched this phone in India only in one variant. It's priced at 21,000 rupees and comes with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. It's available in two colors, Diamond Flare and Roman Black. We have the black color with us right now. Now the main highlights for this phone would be its impressive design and build and its cameras. Before we talk more about that, let's have a quick unboxing. So here's the box. It just says Y73 here and Vivo at the bottom. On the back side, we have some of the highlighting features like the 33-watt fast charging, camera specs and some other information. Now let's unbox it. First we have a small box, which we'll come back to it in a second. Next we have a phone itself, a small sheet of barcode sheets. Next there is the 33-watt flash charge 2.0 charging brick. That's followed by a USB Type-C charging cable. And finally, there are also earphones, which are rare these days. Now inside the small box, we get a SIM card ejector, some documentation, and finally, a soft silicone case. Now coming back to the phone, let me just remove the cover. Now this is how the phone looks on the front, pretty much similar to other phones. And this is how the phone looks on the back. Now let's have a physical overview. On the back, this phone has a 2.5D curved glass with a nice matte finish with anti-glare and anti-fingerprint coating, which makes the surface very smooth. And you also have a pattern underneath it, which definitely looks pretty classic. At the top, we have the camera module with a triple camera setup followed by dual LED flash. And we also have some camera specs over there. At the bottom, we have just the Vivo branding. On the front, we have a huge display with a dewdrop notch with slimmer bezels on the sides and a smaller chin at the bottom. Above the display, we have just the front-facing camera, earpiece and some sensors. Below the display, it's completely plain. By the way, there's also a free screen guard pre-applied, which is really appreciated. Now for the sides, on the right side, we have the volume buttons and the power button made of plastic. They have a nice clicky feel to them and they are sufficiently elevated. At the top, we have just the secondary microphone for noise cancellation. On the left side, we have just the SIM card tray housing two nano SIM slots along with a dedicated SD card slot. Finally, at the bottom, we have the audio jack, followed by the primary microphone, USB Type-C charging port, and the speaker grill. Now, this is how the phone looks with the case on. It's just a soft silicone case. It does give you some grip and prevent smudges, but that's all. Not too much in terms of protection. Now, these are the complete specifications of this phone. On the rear, this phone has a triple camera setup with a 64MP primary camera with f1.79 aperture. That's followed by a 2MP camera for taking portrait shots and another 2MP camera for taking macro shots. For selfies, we get a 16MP camera with f2.0 aperture. On the front, we have a 6.44-inch AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution with a peak brightness of 570 nits. When it comes to performance, this phone sports the MediaTek Helio G95 processor with Mali G76 MC4 GPU with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. Finally, this phone will be powered by a 4000 mAh battery, supports fast charging and comes with a 33-watt flash charge 2.0 inside the box. We can get up to 60% of charge in just 30 minutes. That's definitely pretty incredible charging speeds. Now with all that said, this is how the phone looks once we turn it on and set it up. This is how the user interface looks like. This is the home screen, app drawer, notification panel. Now this is the about page. This phone is running FunTouch OS 11.1 based on Android 11. Right out of the box, we have the April 1st security patch, which is pretty good. As for storage, we get about 108GB of space for our user apps and user data. And right out of the box, we get about 5.4GB of RAM free for our user apps. Now here's the camera interface. It looks pretty similar to other Vivo phones. Default is the photo mode. On the left side we have the portrait mode and the night mode, which by the way can also be used for the front camera. On the right side we have the video mode and more. And these are all the extra features that we have. By the way, in this triple camera setup, there's no wide angle camera, so there's no wide angle mode. Now this is the interface for the front facing camera, which is pretty similar to the rear camera's interface. Now these are some sample shots. Now let's test the speaker loudness.
Can you hear me? We could be legends. Hardwired.
So guys, that's how loud the speaker sounds. It's definitely sufficient for media consumption, ringtones and alarms. Now let's test the fingerprint scanner. It's definitely pretty fast, unlocks the phone within a second. Here's a quick preview once again. Now this phone also has face unlock feature, so I'm going to test it in good lighting conditions. It is super fast, just like the fingerprint scanner. Unlocks the phone within a second. Now let's test it in low lighting conditions. It's as good as in good lighting conditions. It is super fast. Finally, let's test it in complete darkness. Surprisingly, it works again, and that too pretty fast. So to conclude, Face Unlock works really well on this phone, and you can definitely use it as a replacement for the fingerprint scanner as well. Now before I conclude, these are the benchmark scores. So guys, to conclude, Vivo Y73 is definitely a pretty interesting phone at a price of 21,000 rupees. Vivo has done slight alterations to specifications when compared to other Vivo phones in this price segment, but you can consider it as the best of all worlds. At least in the Vivo Y series, this is the best that we can get. With this phone, you are getting a pretty impressive build, a pretty good display, we really can't ask more than an AMOLED display, a pretty fast fingerprint scanner, good cameras. Well, I do wish it had a wide-angle camera, but still the primary camera is pretty good and can make up for the lack of the wide-angle camera. I mean in terms of better results. As for performance, it's definitely pretty good considering this is a retail phone. If you're looking for a Vivo phone around 20,000 rupees, you can definitely consider the Vivo Y73, especially if you're into looks, cameras and faster charging speeds. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel. With that said, this is Nikhil signing off. See you in my next video.